What's up? I'm Wicked, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about why I do these energy forecasts and how you can utilize them for your own practice. I figured it'd be a good idea to give you a little bit of information about my belief systems and a little bit of backstory. So, I am what you could consider an energy-based chaos witch. Chaos magic is essentially just pulling from different practices and belief systems and using the same tools for different uses throughout the craft. I personally believe in a force that I often refer to as source, which is really synonymous for the universe and the higher self in my vocabulary. I've been studying different forms of the craft my entire life, but in recent years I've really connected with the teachings of spiritual leaders like Abraham Hicks, Alan Watts, Ram Dass, Matthew David Hurtado, and Ralph Smart. I've found spiritual kinship with these conduits, and I've also expanded my consciousness with creators like Spirit Science and Lee Harris. I align with the idea that we are all vibrational beings, creating and dictating our realities based off of our frequency. I believe that programming the mind is not entirely possible, but necessary in order to get it to work in favor of our desires, and I believe in energetic alchemy. I chose to start this channel with the energy forecasts because they were a resource I found myself looking for in my own practice. I needed a quick, easy reference to let me know what our celestial neighbors were up to. This is necessary for my practice because, as I said, my beliefs are energy-based. So I am and have always been extremely sensitive to the energy around me. In order to keep it from overpowering me, I learned how to alchemize this to empower my experience instead. In the craft, witches work with the cycles of the moon to strengthen the potency of their magic. Now, in my own practice, I've found that utilizing the energies at play in the rest of the universe not only supercharge my magic, but it also allows me to manifest quicker. There's a lot less resistance when you're working with the energies that are readily available. Throughout my practice, I've worked with the moon, viewing it as a source of divine feminine power, but this is of course only part of the equation. In some practices, witches worship deities, most commonly the Roman and Greek pantheons. Each of these main deities corresponds with a celestial body. So, for example, if you wanted to make major changes in your life, you may consider working with some of the darker energies of this pantheon in order to destroy and rid yourself of all that no longer serves you, like addiction and toxic relationships. In this instance, I would suggest working with Hades, Pluto's ruler, the planet of death and rebirth. This energy can help you dismantle all that is holding you back. So, if you're going to work with a deity, you're working with a planet. And when you're working with a planet, it would probably be beneficial to know what state it's in. What is it doing? How is it feeling? Is it honestly even in a place where it can help you with your intentions? Are the energies of this planet in alignment with the energies of your intentions? Since Pluto, our example, is an outer planet, it's much easier to keep tabs on. It only changes signs about every 30 years, so it's pretty stationary from our human perspective. Currently, it's in Capricorn, which is the sign of structure and tradition. So these energies, when working with the planet of destruction, would be the right energetic recipe to help you with your efforts. You'd be able to proceed with little resistance. However, let's say you're casting a love spell. You really want to know what Venus is up to. Trust me, if you're going to ask Aphrodite for help, you want to know what kind of mood she's in beforehand. Now, Venus, being an inner planet, moves much quicker than Pluto. It changes signs about every 30 days, so it requires a little more mindfulness to keep an eye on her. If you're casting to heal a rift, let's say, but Venus is in Aries, she's mad, no wonder you're fighting. This is the planet of love in the sign that's ruled by the planet of war. These are naturally combative energies. So if you don't know that Venus is currently in that combative state, your intentions of healing a rift will likely fail, and this will lead you to doubt yourself, which will damage your magic going forward. Now, there are a lot of other factors here, different ways to look at this situation. In this instance, perhaps you just don't realize that the rift is actually bringing balance to a relationship, and maybe it's not the time for you to even get involved to begin with. But the interpretations are really up to you and your personal experience. The same can be said if you're trying to manifest new love into your experience, but Venus is in Virgo. This is its fall placement. It's absolute weakest state, so it's likely that you'll exhaust your resources working against that energy and reap little, if any, results. It's a really good thing to be aware of this so that you're not just exhausting yourself and tearing yourself apart over trying to make things happen that just aren't in alignment with the current energy fields. So I'm of the belief system that I am energy, that the frequency of that energy dictates my experience, and that I can control that frequency based off of my emotional state. So I use my emotions as a gauge. For instance, if I feel good, then my frequency is good, I'm in alignment, and things are always working out for me. However, if I feel bad, then the frequency is bad, I'm out of alignment, and I need to find my way back before things stop working out for me. So this is simple in my mind, right? So once I got that down, and it did take a couple years to really enforce it into my life, but once I got to that point, I got bored of thinking about myself, and I started applying this concept to everything around me. I began seeing everything as different energetic frequencies, and once everything became energy, it all started to look like one giant recipe. Like, maybe it's the witch in me, but I'm envisioning cosmic soup here. Beliefs like this coincide with the craft more than you may initially realize. The whole concept of a ritual is to trick the conscious mind into the energetic state that projects the same frequency as your intentions so that you can align with them. Now, if we take these ideas a step forward, we can start to consider the energies around us on a different level. So let's bounce back to love spells for a minute, because they're just a really easy example. Let's say you're casting a basic love spell and it involves water elements. Maybe you're attracted to this because you're of a water Venus, but the person that you're casting in co-creation with is of a fire Venus, and now you've just drenched their flames of passion and put them out entirely. Now, if you don't know all of these extra factors that are at play, you think this is just a failure, when in reality it's just kind of a beginner's mistake. People are really so quick to dismiss magic because they're too lazy to do the work and the research to actually practice it properly. All magic is energetic manipulation, every single practice. It's all a conversation with the universe about how you want your experience to be, and in that conversation we really have to demonstrate to the universe what that energy actually looks like. Here's where the practice of controlling your frequency and your emotions really comes in handy. The longer you can remain an energetic match to your desires, the quicker they're going to manifest. It's much easier to fuel the frequency if you're working in alignment with the energies at play. That being said, the energy at play can also drain the frequency. So let's say that you're trying to expand. Maybe you've been wishing to grow as a person and you're putting a lot of work into yourself, but you don't feel like you're making any progress. So you take a look at the cosmic conditions, and it turns out Jupiter's in a fall placement, meaning the planet of expansion is in its weakest state, so growth and development are really being resisted at this time. Now, this doesn't mean that your efforts are all in vain, but when we work against the energies at play, we really have to expend more of our energy to bring about the intentions. The whole point of the Wicked Energy Forecast is to just help you stay mindful so that you can make your magic as effective as possible. They're simply a resource for an energetic read of our current experience, just a forecast of the general influence at work in the energetic realm. Now, this is the realm in which everything is created before it manifests in the physical, so it's nice to at least have an idea of what's going on there if you're trying to create your own reality and bring in new things. What I'm giving you here is the energetic recipe in hopes that you utilize this information to help you advance in your own craft. Like, you can almost think of it like a fuel calculator, right? So if you use this in the right way, it can help you figure out how far you can get with the resources that are currently available to you. With this information, you can also figure out where you're going to come up short so that you know where extra efforts need to be added. I'm not saying you can't cast your spell if it doesn't line up perfectly with the cosmic conditions, but what I am saying is that if you're casting for something that doesn't quite align with current energies and you know it, now you're giving yourself the opportunity to balance things out so that you can be successful. This gives you some clarity on which ingredients you need to bring to the table. These are honestly just a few small ways in which these forecasts can be utilized to amplify your magic. The possibilities are really endless when there's this much awareness at play. Ultimately, it's just my hope that you allow these forecasts to help you expand both mentally and spiritually, and that you're able to shatter new glass ceilings in your own magical practices. The wicked goal is giving power back to the people. The forecasts are just an example of some of the power that's available to you while you develop your connection with your own source. We've barely begun to broach the subject of personal power, and I really can't wait to dive into that, but for now we're just going to stick with mindfulness, awareness, and abstract ideas on energy work to help normalize the idea of what's actually possible here. We all have desires. It's in the nature of this life for us to expand and to grow and to ask for more. So after this video, take a few minutes to really think about your own personal desires. Regardless of what your goals and intentions are, they're all going to fall under the domain of at least one celestial body. So take a look at which planet matches up with what you're after and find out what it's doing. Is it in the position to help you, or should you instead maybe use this time to play with the energies of Saturn and turn your efforts towards improving yourself so that you're in a better position to manifest your goals when the energies do line up? Seems like a really good opportunity for a quick reminder that it's never actually about achieving the goal, it's about becoming the person who has already achieved the goal. It's really all about the mindset. Our entire experience is dictated off of how we perceive it to be and how we stand in our own power. If we want to change things, we have to learn how to control our own minds and how to co-create with the universe. We are more effective in those efforts when we know what's going on both inside and outside. There is extreme power in awareness. The astrology is just really a small facet of what's going on in the energetic realm, but it's a really good place to start. That's all I have for you. Thank you so much for joining me, and make sure to like and subscribe so you can keep your third eye in the sky. Blessed be.